Hey everybody, it's Tim. Welcome to today. It's Thursday and things are strange. I've had parents coming into the shop this week telling me that they are confused, bewildered, and otherwise stymied at having to sort of run their kids' education at home. So immediately I thought of my friend Erin Hayes, who homeschools her 4 kids and is used to doing it. I thought that she would have some great ideas for folks who have no idea what they're doing, how to kind of jump in and have a few tools up their sleeve to make it a little bit easier.
Definitely. So I know some of the schools are doing different protocols. Some of the kids have iPads, some of the kids have worksheets. So obviously every situation is a little bit different. But my number one tip is don't stress about the time. Your kids are used to being in school from, maybe 8 to 2 or something like that. You do not have to fill up all of that time. So if you can get math done in 15 minutes and they understand it and they're comfortable, math's done for the day.
Great.
So when I spend time with my kiddos, we do school 3 days a week in the classroom for about 3 hours each time.
Okay.
That's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
And they still have homework and things that they do independently. But don't be a slave to the schedule. If
Okay.
you write down 45 minutes for math, don't become a slave to that. If you get it done quicker, that's fine. If it takes you an hour and a half so that your kids feel like they understand, that's fine too.
One of the things that I learned from one of my teachers was that there's no speed limit for learning.
Right. And you have to keep in mind that when you're homeschooling, you're working on more of a 1-to-1 ratio, or maybe like a 1-to-3, depending on the ages of your kids and things like that. It's going to be much different than the public school setting where it might be one teacher and 25, 30 kids. So the school day makes sense to be longer because that teacher is having to work with kids on all different levels. But when you're doing one-on-one, it's like super concentrated learning. It's not going to take you as much time. So enjoy that. Your kids will enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're grumbling a lot, remind them, hey, the quicker we get done, the more time you have to play. We don't have to be doing school all day long. We just need to really focus and concentrate for a little bit. And if you have older siblings, use them too. So my oldest is 9. We're not quite at the spot yet where I can be having her teach the little ones. We don't have that built in our schedule yet. But if you've got some olders and some youngers, use that. Pair them up together too to get one-on-one time. And it'll help their sibling relationship.
Right. When I left to come in, I'm just putting in a couple hours here today to do this, and bags of coffee very quickly.
Yeah.
My wife Casey was telling my kids, hey, Dad's going to be gone for a couple hours. If you finish all your schoolwork between now and then, y'all can play when he gets home.
Yeah.
So,
yes, incentives are fantastic. We use a lot of incentives at our house. In fact, I brought a few. So every day we have like a candy jar, which is running low because Mommy hasn't been to the store. But every day they get a piece of candy if they do a good job.
Are you doing cash or charge today?
And then they have these little punch cards. So this is for my littlest guy who likes Hulk, right? Every time they get 6 punches, they get a prize. So that might be something a little bit cooler. I don't know how long we're going to be in this dilemma. So you might be thinking, oh, I don't need to think that far ahead, but what kid doesn't love incentives, right? So the next time one of my kiddos, this is for my 5-year-old, gets 6 good days in a row, he just has this little thing I got from the dollar store, this little play fishing game, right? So if you don't want to go to the dollar store now, I understand, right? We're trying to be social distancing. Some other incentives could be an extra half hour at night before bedtime, or some extra screen time, or maybe the opportunity to FaceTime a friend right now since we're having all this social distancing. Borrow Mom and Dad's phone, go in your bedroom, FaceTime for a little bit. Whatever incentives you can use to help encourage them, come alongside them, and help them see that end goal, it'll be better for everybody.
That's great. That's great. Incentives, obviously, we all run on incentives. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I wrote down, and I asked some of my other more experienced mamas, because I've been only doing this for 5 years.
Thank you.
But one thing we do in our house is we do like a week overview. So this is for my daughter Lily, she's 9, and I have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It gets smaller by the end of the week because we're all burnt out by the end of the week.
Okay.
But this lists out what she's expected to do every day. And I think it helps her because she's really self-motivated to get her work done. It helps me to have an overall big picture so I'm not scrambling through workbooks. And then it just helps them as they're checking that off. If you're a checklist kind of person, I am, not everybody is. But it takes what could be a mountain and make it feel manageable. And so they can see, like, all she has to do today is this. And once she's done with that, she's good.
That's great.
And so having that big picture helps the parent and helps the child to make it feel manageable.
I like that because it kind of gives a shape to the week.
Yep.
And it's Monday, okay, here's our slog, here's our stuff, but
Yeah.
this will be the toughest day, and through the rest of the week it'll get easier and easier. That's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
And I think checklists are chronically underused.
Yes.
I never used to be one until I learned how to use them, how to
Yeah.
make them work. Maybe I'll share some resources on that with folks.
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing about checklists is it takes stuff out of your overloading your brain, like that constant like whack-a-mole game, and it puts it somewhere else.
Sure.
And it's out of your mind, so there's a little more freedom. That's why I have to do it.
Sure. That's a core tenet of getting things done.
That's right. That's right. So I have a couple other few small ones.
Okay.
Keeping the kids free from distraction.
Okay.
So I know some of your kids are having to be on electronics because that's what the school is requiring, so that's fine. But I would say any electronics that aren't having to do with school, like I know my 5-year-old has a PJ Masks watch he loves to play with, not during school.
Okay.
No, we don't have any toys in the classroom that they're allowed to play with or anything during that time because it just makes for distraction. Also, I do have some things like this, which obviously you don't need like a wheat pen, but if you have a cool electronic that is a learning tool, you can use it to help keep the littler ones occupied during school time, and then don't let them play with it outside of school time. So
Okay.
my little ones are only allowed to use these during school. That helps them to be quiet when I'm working with the older kids.
Very cool.
So free from distraction, having a routine.
Okay.
I wake my kids up at 7:30 on school days. They make their beds, they brush their teeth, they get dressed. I get a shower even if I'm still in comfy clothes. But it's getting up and getting ready for the day, which just makes you feel more prepared.
Okay.
When you roll out of bed and you're still in jammies and you haven't done anything, I just think that your mentality feels a little more lazy. And sometimes we have to just get up and get ourselves going. So
Well, I hear a lot of that from people who work from
yes,
home.
yeah.
Some people, even if they're working in the room right next to their bedroom, they'll get up, they'll take a shower,
Yeah.
they'll get dressed for work, they'll go outside and come back in and go to work.
Well, that's good because whatever you can do to get yourself refreshed, to remember that it is your job right now, and it just will help motivate you and it'll help the kids get ready and feel energized for the day. I really think that the routine is important, but it doesn't have to be 7:30. You might wake up at 9:30. It could be whatever works for your family, but kids love routine, even if they say that they don't. Mine are always saying, Mom, what's next? We're going to do this, and then this, and then this. And I think that really just helps them feel safe when they know what's coming next. And right now, with all the chaos in the world, I think if you can give them some stability and dependability, that will help them a lot.
That could be huge.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Activities for younger kids, anything you can think of. I have this, it's a Melissa and Doug book, which keeps my little guys busy. So yesterday, one of them made like this snake. It's really easy. It's just fun things to like cut out. You get that on Amazon, but anything that you have, Play-Doh if you're willing to let them do it, anything like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's lots of other things. You can share my email address or whatever if people have questions, but just be flexible. Don't worry about chores. You can tackle that later. Just when you're focused on school, be focused. And then my number one thing, when people ask me, how do I do homeschooling? Because I never in a million years thought I would. I always tell them it's just by the grace of God.
Fair enough.
So I just want to put it out to everyone.